He just reminded me that it's already the appointed time and we've also formed a quorum. According to our manual for panel chairman, Article 6.3, I have to ask members whether you think there is a need to elect a new chairman. If not, then under the rules of the manual, I will continue to chair. Thank you. And do you think we need to elect a new deputy chairman for the subcommittee? The incumbent deputy chairman is Mr. Ip Kin Yun. Any objection? No, then we invite Mr. Ip Kin Yim to continue to serve as the deputy chairman of the subcommittee. Thank you very much for your support, and we too will continue to chair the meeting. I have to discuss with you the future work plan. Thanks to the Secretariat, which has already prepared a paper for us. Please refer to the paper already sent out by the Secretariat. We have sought House Committee's permission for our term to continue until the 30th of April. But as you all know, the House Committee followed its convention and approved our term to be extended until the 21st of July. So we will have to be put on the waiting list again after that, but I've just communicated with the Secretariat. We believe that maybe later in the year, probably in May, we may seek to reactivate the subcommittee. So I'd like to ask members, do you have any proposals for our work plan during the period? Of course, we can follow our previous progress, but I'd like to say that I have more concern for SEN and also the ethnic minorities. You know, the golden period for education is from 0 to 6, and for children who need I think we should do a better job in terms of assessment, and I think it is very important. As far as the administration is concerned, I don't think they have done enough. And for ethnic minorities, although they have special plans and subsidies for them, but we know that ethnic minorities have encountered a lot of difficulties in education. We've held public hearings, and we've also done our own survey, and it is found that many kindergartens do not accept ethnic minority children, or they use Cantonese in admission interviews. I hope that we can place more emphasis on these two areas. The Secretariat has proposed in our paper that in the light of views expressed by members in the past, I know Dr. Fernando Zhou has expressed the concern for the special education needs of our ethnic minorities, and then we've also got B and D here, and the operating needs of and services provided by half-day, whole-day, and long whole-day KGs, and how they should be supported under the supervision of free KG kindergarten. And D, issues related to manpower requirement, example, the teacher-to-student ratio, the requirements for additional teaching and non-teaching staff, etc. I think this is a subject of concern for members in particular, and we would like to follow up on these matters on the basis of information papers provided by the administration in the past. Oh, he's left already. For G, I think we have covered that support for non-Chinese speaking students and students with special education needs. Now, because of the time constraint, I think we may be able to cover this, but let's ask the administration to respond to our previous proposals, and then we will then see whether we have any follow-up. Do members have other suggestions? Dr. Helena Wong. Oh, lead in drinking water in kindergartens, a free KG education providing lead in drinking water. Is that our concern? All right. We rely on the proposals from the KG working group, but there are also very expensive private kindergartens. Can we work on the curriculum? Can we look at the curriculum and the routine of half-day, whole-day, and long OT KGs? Can we look at what's included and also the teaching approach? Let's compare these areas in private KGs and also the free whole day or long whole day KGs, because we should take a look at the discrepancy between education provided in free KGs and private KGs. What are the differences? Is there a difference in teacher qualifications and other things? Why do we have to find out why parents are sending their kids to these KGs instead of free KGs. We should compare the two, and let's see what we are going to do. We don't want to provide free KG education when no parents want to send their kids to, because the same is happening to secondary schools. Now, people would rather go for private or international or DSS schools instead of public sector aided primary schools. We don't want to end up having free KGs where parents don't like or won't send their kids to. So let's see. Well, let's compare. And let's see what's being done in private KGs. Mr. Ibrahim Sheikh, I beg to differ from Dr. Anna Wong. Education is not about disparity between the rich and the poor. Rather, KGs should provide a good learning environment for kids. Yes, choice is important. Parents have different requirements. And there are people who can, if there are parents who can afford it, why not allow them to send their kids to private KGs? But the important thing is the curriculum of kindergartens. How can we make our curriculum that can ensure that our kids can learn properly regardless of their financial background? So, Chairman, please don't politicize. Please don't use the financial aspect to assess our KGs. And I agree that we should place more emphasis on non-Chinese speaking and send students. Ms. Ho, can I put you on the second round? Because we have a queue. I'll give you time. Rest assured. Ms. Ho, thank you. I support Dr. Fernando Zhang, and that is his concern for special educational needs. Now, some special KGs, such as the one for the visually impaired, is now subsumed under the other KGs for children with special educational needs. I agree that we should revise or review KG curriculum, but we should not assume that the more we teach, the more they can learn. We should rule out things for KGs. For instance, writing. The kids are not yet well developed in their fine motor skills, and if we require them to write, perhaps this is counterproductive. While we review the curriculum, the objective is not to compete to teach them as much as possible. Rather, we should ensure that children or the young kids can develop healthily at that stage. Mr. Kim, I agree that we should look at non-Chinese speaking students with special educational needs. I think this is an important issue for KG education. But we've already discussed these in the past, and if we repeat or revive the topic, we will be receiving the same documents from the government. So we have another meeting, and then officials will still think that our views are just the same. So we do have time. Should we take some time to list out the specific issues here so that the administration can provide responses to specific questions? Because subsequent to our last meeting, we still have some specific issues to address. So if the chairman can allow members some time to raise specific issues relating to these areas, I believe that will be helpful for our future discussion. And a number of members talked about curriculum. I also agree that free education, the provision of free KG education aside, there are issues that warrant further discussion. For instance, recently I wrote an article on KG education in Germany. There was no writing, no drilling, and a response from parents was very strong. So whether KG has to be paid is one issue. The quality of the curriculum is just as important. I think it is advisable if we can have the opportunity to discuss it. Dr. Helena Wong, well, the spirit behind the fight for free 15 years of education is to ensure that the majority of our population can have access to quality education regardless of their financial means. We don't want to have a big discrepancy between the rich and the poor, and that's why I want to compare different modes of education and different modes of teaching approach. We don't want in the future that the free KG education we're going to provide is not what parents want. I think Mr. Abraham Sheck has misunderstood me. If our free KG education is not the desire of parents, and parents would like to go for private KGs instead, then we cannot ensure a fair starting point. We want to shorten or to narrow down the gap between the rich and the poor, so that even at the start of education, kids will be receiving education or KG education of more or less the same quality. Otherwise, kids will lose out right from the start. This is not the spirit behind our fight to provide 15 years of free education. Of course, I also agree with Mr. Ip Kin Yun. Perhaps at this time we should discuss what is quality KG education, what should be the model. I'm sure we all agree that the purpose of having 15 years of free education is to ensure that all children can receive quality education regardless of their financial background. Mr. Ip Kin Yun, we're looking at the responses from the administration. issued since the summer vacation. Now, there is the subject of non-Chinese speaking students and students with special educational needs. Well, I think it is a bad habit of the administration. And whenever it doesn't want to answer directly our questions or to hide things, it will just repeat its arguments. So let's not waste our time. And I think we should be more proactive. We should require the administration to do the following. Dr. Fernando Zhang said that we should focus on NCS students and our students with SENs and how they can be supported under the 15 years of free education system.
And very little detail was supplied, maybe because it's not very controversial, but we've been talking about transition. That is from kindergarten to primary 1, then something has to be done under the 15-year free education. But so far there is very scanty detail. So we ask the government to make it clear that under the policy that they have to help children make adjustments to go to P1, what is going to be done. And it's all about money. The government has been complaining and at the same time saying that, yes, there will be a full subsidy, but it depends on need, and most of the time it will only be a half-day subsidy. But we need some information from the government. Under the 15-year free education policy, how much resources are we talking about? Not the grand total, but also per household basis as well. The government has been talking about 15-year free education, but what I don't want to see is that it turns out that every household will have to pay more. That is possible. So what is this 15-year free education? Without figures, we should not let them go so easily. So when you have a meeting with the government, you will have to ask them for commitment per household and what is the affordability for families. Just now, Ms. Helena Wong talked about losing out at the starting line. At first, I thought, well, this yes, she has a point, because children will have to have a good start. But this saying actually puts undue burden on a lot of parents. So on second thought, I don't think this should be launched, especially during kindergarten. And they've just started going to school. If you give them pressure, it's not a good thing. And we would like to allay the burden of parents when it comes to kindergarten education. We would like it to be free and it should be implemented as soon as possible. But it's not that after we've done that, we would simply don't care about the quality of kindergarten education. But when it comes to private kindergarten or international kindergartens, or exclusive ones, I don't think there is a need to compare. For kindergartens that are using the education voucher, the quality is actually quite good. So, well, when we have implemented free kindergarten education, we hope that children and parents will get the help they need, and at the same time we will not lose sight of quality. But is it the case that when it comes to international schools or private schools, what they're doing is superior? Not necessarily. They have a good campus. They have a very different teacher-to-student ratio. But it doesn't mean that we have to follow their example. I don't really agree that that should be the way forward. Mr. Abramchak, I agree with Mr. Tam. In the past 2 months during the summer recess, I've been to a number of kindergartens, some subsidized. I am chairman of the there there are different pedagogies, but kindergarten kids are kindergarten kids. In the past few months, I've actually learned a lot. If we want to implement the 15-year free education, we have to pay attention to the starting point because it is very important. We have to look at different kindergarten, different schools, look at their pedagogy. Well, if you have a grandchild, then you may know something about kindergarten. Otherwise, you wouldn't visit a kindergarten. But I do think that is worth a visit. Go to the ESF ones. They use a different pedagogy. It may not be superior, but it's different. Yes, we're involved in politics, but we don't have to turn this into a political issue. So if you have a chance, we can go to St. Stephen's girls or ESF schools. Mr. Ip Kok Him, thank you. Well, the paper talks about our work in the future, and that's the right direction, because it talks about half-day session, whole-day session, manpower requirements. These are issues that the subcommittee has to deal with. And in relation to the provision of quality kindergarten education, well, apart from the curriculum, it's also down to teachers. Yes, we can make a comparison, but we are no education experts. Kindergarten education is a complicated issue. We have to ensure that it should not be exclusive. We shouldn't look at it from the money point of view. I think it's about the dedication of teachers. We should not turn this subcommittee and its members into educationists, because I'm not one. I have taught in primary schools and secondary schools, but I've never taught in a kindergarten. I am not an educationist. Well, we have had a lot of discussion about the issues to be discussed. I'll talk to the deputy chairman, and when I talk to government officials, I will relay your points to them. And I will give you our agenda. The clerk has proposed the next date of meeting. Oh no, it's not done yet. We have to find a venue. So please make time for it. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.